was 2:41 a.m. when I got the message. Don't come home yet. 5 words. No punctuation. No explanation. No apology. And I knew. You don't send a text like that to the person you love unless you're hiding something, or someone. Up until that moment, I still wanted to believe it wasn't what it looked like. I'd flown home early to surprise her. Red-eye flight. Flowers in my hand. Heart in my throat. I was going to sneak in and tell her I missed her. But instead, I found myself in the back of a cab at 3:27 a.m., pulling up to our house with her brother next to me. Milo didn't say much, he didn't have to. He already knew. Maybe he'd always known. The silence between us said more than any warning could. When we knocked, she answered in someone else's hoodie. And everything changed. I didn't scream. I didn't fall apart. I didn't ask why. Because the answer was already walking out of our bedroom. Shame on his face. My hoodie on his back. This isn't the kind of story that ends in screaming matches or revenge. This is the kind of story where the truth is quiet, but permanent. Where trust doesn't shatter, it dissolves, piece by piece, until there's nothing left but clarity. And if you've ever had your world fall apart in the middle of the night with 5 words and a flicker of a hallway light, then maybe you already know. Some betrayals don't need to be dramatic to be unforgettable. Before we begin, I just want to say, thank you. Thank you for being here. For taking the time to step into something raw, unfiltered, and deeply personal. I didn't write this for attention. I wrote it because the truth deserves air. And because maybe, just maybe, someone out there needs to hear a story like this to feel a little less alone. If you've ever questioned your worth because of someone else's betrayal, if you've ever stared at your phone with your chest hollowed out by 5 words you can't unsee, or if you're just someone who values truth over illusion, then this story is for you. You don't have to comment, or like, or share anything. Just listen. Let the words sit with you. And when you're ready, really ready, come with me back to that night. Back to the moment the message came through. Don't come home yet. Let's start there. Because that's when everything I thought I knew, unraveled. And that's when I finally saw things for what they really were. Let's dig in. It was 2:41 a.m. when I got the message. Just 5 words. Don't walk in. Not yet. No punctuation. No greeting. Just enough to punch the air out of my lungs. I'd had my doubts for months, the extra hours, the stifled laughs behind locked doors, the sudden new friends I never met. Just a book club, she'd said. We lose track of time. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Until that message. I wasn't even supposed to be back in Pinefield yet. The tech summit in Denver had ended early. My final panel got canceled, so I caught a red eye. I didn't tell Vanessa. I thought I'd surprise her. Come home, crawl into bed, kiss her shoulder like I used to. But plans change when the person you love tells you, without telling you, that something's wrong. Something unforgivable. I didn't reply. I didn't go home. I called her younger brother, Milo, 25, sarcastic, and way more perceptive than most gave him credit for. He picked up like he'd been waiting for this moment. Leo, he said, voice low. I got a text, I told him. Silence. Then, I'll be at the curb in 5. He didn't ask what the message said. He didn't ask if I was sure. Milo knew. He'd probably known for weeks. When he climbed into the back of the rideshare beside me, he didn't say anything. Not until we crossed 7th Street and the town lights fell behind us. Then he whispered, "You want the truth?" I shook my head. I want her to say it. Milo nodded, eyes forward. Then let's go get your truth. The car rolled through the dark, past empty stores and shuttered gas stations. My hands were cold. My chest felt like it was being squeezed by something ancient and angry. When we pulled into the driveway, I saw a car I didn't recognize. Windows still fogged. She stepped out first. Vanessa. Barefoot, hair wild, wearing the hoodie I bought her last Christmas. A man followed. Shirtless. My hoodie in his hand. Vanessa froze when she saw me. Not shocked. Not ashamed. Just irritated. "Leo," she said, like I'd interrupted a meeting. And right then, I knew. I didn't need her to explain. But I wanted her to. I wanted to hear it. From her mouth. Because I wasn't leaving until I did. We pulled up just before 4 a.m. The cab's headlights cut through the fog curling around the pines that lined the drive. Milo got out first. I followed. No keys. Just a knock. The kind you make when you already know the answer, but you need to hear it anyway. We waited. Footsteps approached the door, soft, uncertain. Then it cracked open, and there she was. Vanessa. Her eyes were tired, mascara streaked faintly down one cheek. She wore a navy hoodie 2 sizes too big, definitely not hers. Behind her, for a brief second, a figure disappeared down the hall. Just a shadow. But it moved. When she noticed Milo beside me, her mouth parted in a tiny, stunned gasp. She opened the door wider, but not to invite us in. It was a stalling move. Milo stepped forward before she could speak. "Tell him, Vanessa. Right now." She gripped the edge of the doorframe like it could keep her steady. Her eyes darted between us, me, then Milo, then me again. She was trying to craft a version of the story that didn't sound like betrayal. "Leo, I didn't know you were flying home tonight," she said, voice barely audible. "No, clearly you didn't," I replied. "But I'm here. So tell me, what's with the text at 2:41 a.m.? She hesitated, flicked her eyes down the hall, where the shadow had vanished. Her head tilted slightly, as if deciding whether to lie, delay, or just slam the door shut and rewrite history. Milo's voice cut in sharp and cold. "He saw someone, Vanessa. Don't lie." She sighed and pushed the door open a little more. "Still not letting us in." "It's not what it looks like," she muttered. "Then help me understand," I said, stepping closer. "You tell me not to come home in the middle of the night, and now you're standing there in some other guy's sweatshirt. So please, clarify." Her lips trembled. Then came the tears. The slow, convenient ones. The kind you summon when words will only betray you faster. "I didn't plan this," she whispered. Milo laughed, bitter and hard. "No, you've been not planning it for 6 months. You told me it wouldn't get this far. Remember?" My heart stopped. I turned to him. "You knew?" "Not like this," Milo said quickly. "I had suspicions." She slipped up on calls. Skipped out on birthdays. I asked her. She said it was just flirting, that she'd stop. "You said that?" I asked Milo, not taking my eyes off Vanessa. He nodded slowly. "Yeah. I told her if she didn't tell you soon, I would." "So you waited? Let her try to patch it up herself." "No," Milo snapped, his voice sharper than I'd ever heard it. "I waited to see if she'd do the right thing. You're my sister's husband, Leo. And you're my friend. I didn't want to be the one to break you if she was going to fix it herself." I turned my eyes back to Vanessa. "And instead of coming clean, you sent me a 5-word text in the middle of the night, and shoved some guy into the hallway like dirty laundry." "He was leaving," she whispered, voice fragile. "I told him to go before you got here." I nodded slowly. "How thoughtful." Her face shifted, guilt, shame, and something else. A flicker of panic, maybe. Or emptiness. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "But you did," I said. Over and over. Quietly. In this house. In our bed. I stepped past her, letting the weight of each word hang heavy. "You were really going to let me come home tomorrow, crawl into bed beside you, kiss your cheek, and pretend everything was fine, weren't you?" "I was going to end it," she said quickly. "I just needed time." "Time?" Milo echoed, his arms crossed. Time to do what? Rotate the schedule? Fine-tune your lies? Or wait until Leo was too tired to fight back? Vanessa's voice cracked. You don't get it. It wasn't like that. He made me feel seen. You think Leo is perfect, she said, looking at her brother. He's not. He buries himself in work. He stops noticing things. I scoffed. Don't you dare turn this on me. Don't you dare blame this on my hours when you had 100 chances to speak up. You had choices. You chose this. I felt alone, she muttered. Then leave, I said. Don't build a second life beside mine and pretend it's love. Milo stepped forward. You know the worst part? He brought flowers. Sat next to me in that cab, still believing in you. Vanessa looked at the ground. Get him out, I said. She didn't move. Now. She turned and walked down the hall. A door opened. Footsteps. The guy didn't say a word as he passed us. Hoodie up. Face down. When the door shut behind him, I finally stepped into the house. It felt smaller than I remembered. Colder. That's how it felt stepping into the house. Like even the walls had stopped caring. Like they'd heard it all before and were just waiting for me to leave. Milo stayed behind me, silent. He knew there wasn't anything else to say. Not now. Not yet. Vanessa stood at the bottom of the stairs, clutching her arms like they could keep her together. I'm sorry, she said. I don't want this to be over. I looked her straight in the eye. It was over the moment you chose someone else and decided I didn't deserve the truth. She swallowed hard. Can we just talk tomorrow? We're done talking, I said. We're done pretending. And we're done calling this a marriage. I turned and walked toward the guest room. Closed the door behind me. Didn't even bother changing out of my travel clothes. Just collapsed onto the bed and stared at the ceiling while the early light of morning crept in through the blinds. I didn't sleep. Not really. I lay there replaying everything, the 2:41 a.m. text, the hoodie, the shadow in the hall. The way she said, I was going to end it, like that erased what she'd done. The silence in the room was thick, but my head was anything but quiet. Her voice kept echoing. And Milo's words too, about the flowers in my hand. That part cut deepest. Not out of embarrassment, no. Out of truth. I had believed in her. I flew home early to surprise someone who'd already chosen to betray me. Sunlight eventually spilled across the carpet. Morning came too fast. I heard footsteps outside the door. Then the scent of fresh coffee drifted in. She was trying to reset the clock. Pretend we were still in that middle ground where betrayal could be talked away. A soft knock. Leo? I didn't answer. Another knock. I made coffee. Can we talk now? I opened the door slowly. Met her gaze. Where's Milo? He left early, she said. Didn't say anything. That was a lie. Milo had texted me at 6:04 a.m. Back around noon. Let her say whatever she needs to. Then I'll say mine. Okay, I said, brushing past her. She followed me into the kitchen, hands wrapped around a steaming mug she hadn't even touched. I don't want to lose you. You already did. I made a mistake. No, I said. You made a pattern. Her eyes filled again. Do you still love me? Love doesn't survive this, I said. Not without burning everything down first. I didn't mean for this to happen, Vanessa whispered. You keep saying that, I replied, like it changes anything. She sat down at the kitchen table, hands wrapped around that mug she still hadn't touched. Tried to look broken. And maybe she was. But all I saw was someone who got caught. And still wasn't ready to be honest about it. What are you going to do? She asked. I'm not the one moving out, I said flatly. Leo, please. I don't have anywhere to go. You should have thought about that before texting me at 2:41 a.m. while another guy was walking out of our bedroom. He wasn't hiding, she said quickly. He was wearing my hoodie, I snapped. And he came from our room. That shut her up. Finally. You don't even know him, she muttered. I don't need to, I said. I know what he was doing here. That's enough. Just then, the front door opened. Footsteps. Then Milo walked in like he lived there. Which, at this point, felt more honest than what Vanessa had been doing. He looked at both of us. Coffee ready? You came back? Vanessa asked, surprised. Of course I did, Milo said. I wasn't done. He turned to me. Leo, you want to know how long this has actually been going on? I stared at him. Nodded once. Milo took a deep breath. Almost a year. First time I noticed something was off was at a birthday party. I wasn't even planning to go, but I saw them leave together. He glanced at Vanessa, who was already shaking her head. I asked her about it. She said they were just catching up. Nothing serious. That's not true, she cut in. You're blowing it out of proportion. Am I? Milo said, stepping closer. Because I saw the messages. On your iPad. The ones you forgot to delete. Vanessa's face twitched. You said it was just venting, he continued. But I read them. And they weren't venting. They were plans. You're twisting this, she said. No, I said. You twisted this. Milo's just untying the knot. He looked me dead in the eye. She's still not telling you everything. Vanessa stood. I already told him. He made his decision. No, Milo said, pulling out his phone. You gave him your version. Want me to show him mine? He tapped the screen. Screen recording. From your iCloud backup. Vanessa's face went pale. Milo, stop. No, he said calmly. Not this time. You don't get to play the victim after a year of silence, Milo said. Then he pressed play. Her voice, Vanessa's, filled the kitchen like smoke. Laughing. Whispering. Calling me boring. Predictable. Safe. Then came a man's voice. His voice. Smooth. Cocky. So he really has no clue? None, Vanessa said on the recording. He's so wrapped up in work and being the good guy, he wouldn't believe it even if I told him. She sounded proud. Not conflicted. Not ashamed. Just proud. Turn it off, Vanessa said, her voice trembling now. Leo, that's out of context. No, I said, staring at the floor. The context is your voice. And it says everything. She lunged for the phone. Milo stepped back, holding it away. Don't, he said sharply. You made your choices. Now live in them. I turned and walked out of the kitchen. Into the living room. I couldn't stand to hear her talk anymore. But she followed. Leo, please, Vanessa said from behind me. I'll leave. Just don't hate me. I didn't turn around. I don't hate you. She hesitated. Then what do you feel? I exhaled. Freedom, I said. And I'm going to enjoy it. She left 2 days later. Packed a bag and disappeared without another word. And then it started. Texts from people I hadn't heard from in months. Hey, just checking in. Heard things got complicated. She says you guys had an understanding? Wait, she moved out? I thought you asked her to stay. That was her version. That I'd grown distant. Cold. That I worked too much and stopped paying attention. That she'd finally found the courage to leave. Courage. That's what she called sneaking a man into our home and texting me not to come back. Jessica warned me. She's not just going to admit it, Leo, she said. She's going to reshape it. She'll twist it until you look like the one who gave up. I don't care what she says, I told her. The people who know me will see through it. And the people who don't? Milo asked. The ones on the fence? The mutuals? She'll get to them first. And she did. Vanessa turned into a PR team overnight. Carefully curated texts. Long emotional posts about leaving with grace and not being seen. It was subtle. Clean. Too clean. So I let Milo handle it. He had the receipts, the screen recordings, the synced iCloud messages, the chat backups she forgot existed. He started with a group chat. The kind filled with mutual friends, coworkers, and the people who hadn't picked sides yet. The neutral zone. He didn't blow it up with insults. Didn't go scorched earth. He sent one message. Before you judge anything, listen to this. This is what she was saying about Leo while she was still wearing his ring. Then he dropped the 12-second clip. Her voice, Vanessa's voice. Laughing. Cold. He's so predictable. If I told him I was cheating, he'd probably ask if I was okay first. That was all it took. One sentence. One perfectly articulated moment of disrespect. The shift was instant. My phone lit up like a flare. Damn, man. I'm so sorry. Asterisk didn't know it was like that. That line made me sick. One guy I barely knew from a backyard barbecue messaged, if I ever catch someone talking about me like that while I'm out grinding for us, I hope I handle it the way you did. Vanessa tried to spin it. Claimed the clip was out of context. Said it was sarcasm. That she was venting. But it was too late. The more she explained, the worse it looked. Truth had fangs now. And it was gnawing through her story. One of our mutual friends, Sarah, hit her with the line that ended it. You don't get to lie for a year and then act like heartbreak makes you innocent. Vanessa blocked her. Then blocked a dozen others. Her world got quieter. Mine got clearer. And I didn't have to say a word. Milo took care of everything. Not because he wanted to wreck his sister's life, but because he wanted to protect the one person who'd been blindsided with a bouquet of lilies in his hand. One night, I asked him, why'd you really stay that night? He looked at me and said, because I saw your face when you rang the bell. Like part of you still hoped you were wrong. He shrugged. I couldn't let you face being right alone. I nodded. You saved me. No, he said. You saved yourself. I just made sure she couldn't lie about it afterward. A few days later, Vanessa tried to reach out. Not directly. Through her mom. The first attempt came through her cousin. Then a vague Instagram story about regret and the cost of silence. But she wasn't being silent. She was performing. And I'd already walked out of that theater. Then came the message that closed the door for good. From Milo. A screenshot. Vanessa had started talking to someone new. Not the guy I caught sneaking out of our bedroom. A different one. Someone she met during the affair. Guess she didn't waste time, Milo wrote. I stared at the screen. Then smiled. She never stood still, I replied. And I meant it. I didn't think about her much anymore, not in that late night, rewind the tape kind of way. Not in the way that gnaws at your ribs and whispers what did you do wrong. That ended the day I realized I wasn't the failure. I was the mirror. And she just couldn't stand what looked back at her. After she moved out, after her story started cracking, the silence that followed was the most peaceful sound I'd known in years. Not the silence of absence, but the kind you earn. Like finally putting down a weight you didn't even realize you'd carried on your back every day. I didn't need revenge. Didn't need to destroy her reputation. She did that herself, with every lie, every half-truth, every 2:41 a.m. text sent in a panic to cover up a double life. And yet, if you had told me back then, back when I was sitting in a cab with flowers in my hand at 3:27 in the morning, that the person next to me would become the one who helped me rebuild, I wouldn't have believed you. But that's exactly what happened. Milo didn't just show up that night. He stayed. He didn't try to fix me. He didn't drown me in advice or act like pain had an instruction manual. He just made sure I didn't sit in the wreckage by myself. He checked in. Called when I went quiet. Sent stupid memes when silence felt too heavy. And slowly, everything began to shift. Not all at once. Not dramatically. It started with short talks that turned into real ones. Quiet laughter again. Coffee runs that became morning walks. Walks that stretched into hours. And one night, months later, we sat on the porch together, watching the Pinefield skyline blink like the world had finally slowed down. He glanced at me and said, "You're different now." "Better or worse?" I asked. Milo just smiled. Lighter. That's what it felt like. And that's when I realized something no betrayal could ever take from me: peace. Peace isn't just about forgiveness. It's not about letting someone off the hook. It's about clarity, seeing people for who they are, not who you begged them to be. Vanessa had been a performance. A curated version of love, full of carefully timed smiles and surface-deep warmth. But Milo? He never needed an audience. What we have now, whatever you want to call it, is real. It's solid. Quiet. Built on truth. No locked doors, no late-night text messages, no shadows down the hallway at 2:41 a.m. Only trust. And if you're wondering, no, we didn't rush into anything. It took time. It took respect. It took space. But when it finally did happen, when we sat a little closer, lingered a little longer, it didn't feel like a betrayal to the past. It felt earned. When people ask what happened with Vanessa, I keep it simple. No drama. No venom. Just the truth. She texted me at 2:41 in the morning and said, "Don't come home yet." And everything changed after that. Because I didn't come home alone. I came home with her brother. The one who refused to stay silent. The one who stood beside me when the door opened. The one who said, "Tell him the truth." From that moment on, nothing was ever the same. If you've read this far, here's my question. What would you have done at 2:41 a.m.? Would you have ignored the message? Would you have walked into that house alone? Or would you have shown up with someone who already knew the truth, and refused to let you carry it by yourself? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to follow. Because next time, the truth won't wait until morning. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, for listening, for staying with me through the weight of it all, and for not turning away when things got hard. I didn't share this story because I was seeking sympathy. To be honest, sympathy isn't what I need. I shared it because there was a time when silence nearly shattered me. A time when I wondered if anyone else out there was going through something similar, feeling the same darkness close and around them, and doubting themselves because the truth seemed too painful to confront. And I believe, deep down, that someone else out there is looking at their phone right now, staring at a message just like the one I got at 2:41 a.m. They're wondering if their gut instinct is just paranoia. They're questioning whether they've lost their mind. And I wanted to say to them, no, you're not crazy. You're not wrong for trusting what you feel. That feeling is telling you something important, something your heart already knows. So here's my call to you: if you've been through this, or if you're still finding your way out of the wreckage of betrayal, please take a moment to speak up. Drop a comment, not just for me, but for everyone else who might be reading this, silently suffering. You never know how far your words will reach, how much they'll mean to someone who's on the edge, who feels like they're falling apart and can't put themselves back together again. Tell them it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to walk away when everything around you feels false and hollow. It's okay to stop explaining yourself to people who are already committed to misunderstanding you, to people who refuse to see you for who you truly are. You owe them nothing. If you've been in my shoes, or even if you've been close to that kind of heartbreak, take a moment to share your story. Tell me, tell all of us, what gave you the strength to get back up after you fell? What made you finally say, enough? I deserve more than this. What moment, what decision, turn the tide for you. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to hear right now. They might be the spark someone else needs to ignite their own strength. And if you're here to just listen, to understand, or to feel less alone, I hope you've found what you needed in these words. I hope you've been able to breathe just a little easier knowing that there are others who understand, others who see you. The truth is, there were days when I wanted to disappear. There were days when the pain felt so deep, so overwhelming, that I didn't think I could bear it. There were nights when I blamed myself for what happened, for what I missed, for what I didn't see or didn't want to see. I replayed every conversation, every moment, trying to figure out how I could have changed things, how I could have fixed it before it all came crashing down. But here's what I know now, with a clarity I didn't have at the time: the truth is not cruelty. It's not some malicious force sent to destroy your life. It's clarity. It's the kind of clarity that, at first, might sting, but in the end, it's the only thing that can truly set you free. The truth doesn't come to break you, it comes to open your eyes. And yes, it might hurt. It might feel like it's pulling the ground from beneath you. But if you let it, the truth will make space for something better to grow. And most importantly, it will make room for you to heal. So don't fear the truth. Don't soften it, don't try to protect the people who have hurt you by cushioning it. The truth is not your enemy. It's your salvation. And when it comes to you, don't shy away from it. Don't hide from it, and most certainly, don't protect the people who broke you. You owe them no loyalty, no understanding, no forgiveness if they're unwilling to offer you the same. They traded honesty for convenience. They sold you a lie that fit their needs, and you have no obligation to keep living in that lie, no matter how long it's been. If there's one piece of advice I could offer to anyone going through this kind of betrayal, it would be this: don't rush your healing. Don't try to win the breakup or the separation, because there is no prize for coming out on top in these kinds of situations. It's not about victory. It's about survival. It's about breathing again when it feels like you've forgotten how. So take your time. Give yourself permission to feel everything. Let yourself grieve, let yourself be angry, let yourself be confused. But don't try to force yourself into a box that says, you should be over this by now. Healing isn't linear. It doesn't follow a neat timeline. It ebbs and flows. One day you'll feel okay. The next, you'll be hit with a wave of grief. That's normal. That's okay. And while you're healing, do this: breathe. Clean the house, not because she left, but because you're still here. You're still standing. You're still breathing. Talk to the people who stayed. Take notice of the ones who didn't, the ones who turned their back when things got hard. Pay attention to the people who showed up, even when you didn't ask them to. Because those people, the ones who really show up, they are the ones who are worth holding on to. Don't question whether you deserve their kindness or their support. You do. You absolutely do. You've been through hell, and yet, here you are, still fighting, still living, still moving forward. So here's my invitation: share your story with me. Tell me what you would have done, what you did do, when everything fell apart. Share the moment when you knew you were done pretending. Share the moment when you realized that pretending was no longer an option because you couldn't live in that lie anymore. And if you're still in it, if you're still in the pain and the confusion, that's okay, too. It's okay to not have all the answers yet. You're not broken. You're building. Every step forward, even the small ones, is a step towards becoming stronger, towards becoming the person you were always meant to be. And that person? They don't need to apologize for how they're feeling. They don't need to explain themselves. They don't need to beg anyone for validation. They're worthy of respect, love, and understanding, especially from themselves. So let's keep this conversation going. Share your thoughts. Share your stories. Share your advice. The world is full of people who need to hear that they're not alone. They need to hear that even though the road is hard, it's still worth walking. They need to hear that the silence after betrayal doesn't last forever. You will find your voice again. You will find your peace again. And when you do, you'll realize something that might surprise you: the strength to stand back up was always inside of you. You just needed to let yourself find it. And me? I'll be here. Still standing. Still telling the truth. Still reminding you that the most powerful thing you can do, sometimes, is not go back. Because the moment you decide to stop looking behind you, that's when you start walking towards your future. And it's brighter than you can imagine.